fight for God, honor, country, family. Yourself, I do not care. You fight!
What is up, guys, and welcome back to yet again another Visualized History and Lore video. Today we're back playing the ACW mod for Napoleon Total War, and we are on the hardcore submod 1.5 for the ACW mod. Again, this submod is developed by me and Rose Hunter. You can find this on the ACW official multiplayer Discord, and the official multiplayer Discord is linked in the description. Of course, this is where the battle was hosted and organized, and you can too if you want to join these battles with us. So today we're on the map called McDowell, and it's going to be a 3v3. As you can see, the Federal Army is coming from the left to the right, and we have to protect the hills. We can call this the gate into the Shenandoah Valley, the breadbasket of Virginia. The Union is trying to get into there, but we are stopping them here at the Blue Ridge Mountains. As you can see, the Union Army will have 4 points to start and us 3 points to start. However, we will easily be able to occur 4 points very easily. Sorry, they have 4 points to start. We can have 5 points to start pretty easily, because we pretty much start on this 2. We auto start with the 1, so we get 3 on this jump, 3 on the jump for them. They'll get 1 pretty easily there, and we'll get 1 here. So that'll put us, and we can get that. We can kind of like pseudo control that. So it's a fight over this one and this one for the control of 5 points, 4 points. So we're fighting for 4 points on this map essentially. No, 5 points. I was right. 5 points. It could be 4 or 5 for them if they can get that. But either way, you have to hold 2 of these points essentially, and that's what we'll be fighting for today. And so I'm gonna slow it down just a little bit, or not like try and get it going too fast. We have the Confederate First Corps commanded by 69th North Carolina Company A, I think First Lieutenant Vankovsky. And then we have the Confederate Third Corps commanded by 1st Georgia Company, I want to say B, First Sergeant Klink. And then, of course, I am commanding the Army of 1st Manassas with General Jackson leading the way. We are facing off against 3 Union Corps, opposing Union Corps. Union Army of the Cumberland being led by Rose Hunter, with the other developer other than me of the submod. The Union First Corps being led by Ethan K4, or as we call him, E. Thank you. And then the Union 5th Corps being led by Sir Craven. Again, all of them from the multiplayer Discord. Again, so the idea is to hold these 2 points. So my initial plan here is to follow this road down and try and get onto the open field and attack this point. But I didn't expect them to stack so much heavy artillery into this open field, essentially making it an impossibility. As you can see here, just the amount of federal artillery here is ridiculous in terms of trying to get down this valley. And I'm on the open. I'm getting shot from the beginning, taking casualties, and it looks like they have stacked here. However, I believe 5th Corps does span a little more of these woods, but definitely Cumberland and 1st Corps coming down this road heavy to take this one, to attack in detail the Confederate Army and possibly take these 2 in the heights. To really quick do some army comps for you guys. I can slow it down really quick. The Confederate 1st Manassas Army, I have 4 volunteer units, 1, 2, 3, 4, followed by a 11th Mississippi volunteer units, as you can see right here. The 17th Virginia Regiment, Company K Warrenton Rifles. We have the 6th North Carolina Volunteer Company. We then have the 33rd Virginia, part of the Stonewall Brigade. We have the 1st Maryland Battalion, yee for my Maryland boys. We have the 2nd, 4th, and 5th Virginia unit, and I think we should have 2 of those units, if I'm mistaken. Yep, 2 of those units there. So they'll be my 3-star units, the 33rd Virginia, then the 2 2nd, 4th, and 5th, and 27th Virginia Infantries. We also have the 1st Louisiana Battalion, followed by some more Louisiana boys with the Wheats Louisiana Battalion, or the Wharf Rats as they were called, made up of immigrants from the docks of Louisiana, or New Orleans, excuse me. Alright, so I do have a 3-inch battery. I also have a 24-pound 4-gun battery, but I'm saving it for last. And also, my general is a special general, the Stonewall Jackson. I also have, I believe, 2 skirmisher units that are trying to move up here, but yeah, We also have some opposing federal skirmishes coming up. I will get to those as soon as I can in terms of what was that over there? Did I? Oh, this is a vedette unit. This over here is the 24-pound Richmond howitzers. Or I think they're 12-pounders, to be sure. Yeah, these elite Richmond howitzers that you also find in Confederate First Corps are elite 12-pounders, not 24-pounders. Excuse me. Of course, I have the 3-inch. We have the Confederate First Corps artillery here from Vankowski, I believe. Yeah, Vankowski. Up here on the hill, getting some shots off, as well as his other 3-inch batteries. His 2 3-inch batteries and mine are all firing off. That is 12 guns on that hill versus we got 8 guns there, 8 guns there, 16. Oh, 16, and then wait, is that 5th Corps right there? So 5th Corps guns. We got 8 there from 5th Corps, 8 here from 1st Corps, and 4 from Cumberland. So that's, and in total, we actually have the 10-pounders too. Remember, those are more elite. Actually, I think these are just 10-pounders. So yeah, that means there is 12 10-pounder batteries and 12 10-pounder guns and 8 3-inch ordnance guns, all going off against our 12 3-inch ordnance guns. The Confederate Third Corps go ahead. They are in the center, commanded by Klink again. I'll go over their army comps really quick. It's to the best of my ability. He has a skirmisher unit leading the way, and a long line column. We're going to go Volunteer, Archers Brigade, Pender's Division, Selma Independent Blues. Look pretty damn cool. We're going to have more Volunteer, Heath's Division, Archers Brigade, Volunteer. Get kind of tired of saying that. Greg's Brigade, 26th North Carolina. So these are the 3 elite star units that will inspire the other units. 2 South Carolina units and a 26th North Carolina unit. And followed by 2 volunteer in the very far back. They do not have a special general, but they do have a general regardless. They do have a 3-inch Peagram's battery, which is an elite Confederate 3-inch 4-gun battery. And they will have the Confederate 3rd Corps general close to that line. Sorry, that was 1st Corps over there and 3rd Corps right there. And then, of course, 1st Corps also has an early war cavalry. So 3rd Corps also has 24-pounders not like me. He has a 4-gun howitzer battery like me. His are 24. Mine's an elite 12. But we're holding those in reserve until the infantry get engaged so they don't get sniped by the enemy counter battery. The Confederate 1st Corps that's forming our extreme left all the way down here to secure these 2 ones. He has a sharpshooter unit and a skirmish unit out front. And going down the line here in no particular order, we have a early war regiment. We have Pickett's Division, Texas Brigade, Volunteer, Pickett's Division, Volunteer. Let me see here. Volunteer. Texas Brigade, Pickett's, Texas, Volunteer. So as the lineup of his army looks like Pickett's and Texas, it looks like it followed some by a massive force of volunteer infantry. However, those 3 Texas Brigade I named off, which are here, goes back here, I think. Maybe, I don't know. There's 2, and there's 3. Those are his star units, elite units that will inspire other units. All right, so enough with the army comps. I'm gonna get back into the battle and list off the Union army comps as it comes into my vision. I'll go ahead and get off what we can right here. And the only development right now is I was going to, again, cross this river and try and take this one up here was my initial plan. Klink would follow up into here, and then Vankowski on his far left over there. But did not pan out that way considering Cumberland and 1st Corps double stacked and would defeat me in detail. They do have 2 skirmisher units for the 1st Corps and looks like 2 skirmisher units again for the Cumberland Army. And we're exchanging some fire there. I'm holding this crossing here, the river. Just holding back because they will be advancing on me apparently when I meant to advance on them. So it looks like out here up front, Cumberland has shown 2 of his elite star units. These are the King's Regular Brigade. He's also shown another elite unit, however, not a star unit, his ZOUAVE infantry. Coming down the road, he has his last star unit, which is the Union Veteran Infantry. Again, that's another star unit that will inspire. Got some awesome shots going off, revealing some infantry here. 2 volunteer units, another volunteer. Crawford's division from 5th Corps. Another volunteer followed by the 11th Indiana Infantry, again from Cumberland. Not exactly elite, but in a unique slightly more elite volunteer infantry, essentially. And from the first corps, so far we've only revealed 4 volunteer units, but more to come for sure. Back here on this side of the field, looks like my battery's taking quite a bit of damage. At least it's the only one to initially take damage. I'm getting focused down by those 10-pounders. As for my infantry, nothing severe yet. Maybe a handful of casualties here and there. But I had to get them spread out and out of that column formation immediately, just due to the fact of the range and accuracy of these 10-pounders and 3 inches coming across the field here. As for 5th Corps, again, we only have 2 crossover divisions revealed, but I believe 5th Corps will be coming out of this wood line in mass. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back into oh, so there's a regular infantry back here just revealed themselves. Usually the Cumberland Army, the build, you bring some Zouave and regular, because those are your elite but non-star elites in the army. I'm gonna go back into play mode, or just regular mode, and give you some good cinematic shots of these the Yankee army coming out in force, getting into line of battle, coming through the town here at McDowell.
Our men are running, sir.
So it looks like we already have that battery I told you was taking damage, just got focus fired and destroyed, essentially losing about 50% of its original force. 3rd Corps coming up on and over the hill here to assume this position where about their skirmishers are now. Cumberland skirmishers are moving up to try and secure this little piece of wood line here, but it looks like they're getting hit by some of my 11th Mississippi infantry, which are pretty damn elite. However, they're company size, so they're 180 men instead of 250 men. And Van Kofste again coming out slowly across the wood line here, and boom, as I said, 5th Corps comes out in all of its glory through this wood line in very cinematic style, coming across this wide open field here in the valley at McDowell. So it looks like this just seems to be a massive force of infantry, followed by some skirmishers that are going to be leading the way for this attack. 5th Corps revealed some units in the back here. A 5th New York unit we saw last replay holding a little round top. A regular infantry unit like the Army of the Cumberland. 3 regular infantry units, excuse me. Again, those are elite infantry, however, not star unit. Looks like some more volunteer, it looks like has been revealed from 1st Corps. So 1st Corps right now is starting off their attack with, it looks like 7 volunteer infantry units. Or a few thousand men. And again, just the skirmishers starting the line of battle and getting everybody into formation. It looks like Rose Hunters, or Federal Army of the Cumberland, is coming out in force with their elites to start the attack and try and break the Confederate 1st Corps lines. 5th Corps moving in position, 1st Corps moving in position, and of course 3rd Corps desperately trying to get in the position here fast before Cumberland can get up and over and onto this to challenge that hill for that 2-point that would win the game. Fifth Corps, I do not think can see what's happening over here. 1st Corps is hidden since it's in the woods. How you can tell if you hover over the card next to idle, it'll say hidden. So this is completely hidden to the Federal 5th Corps, like a lot of their army is to us, because they were coming out of the woods. So it looks like they will be coming in echelon attack, working their way like a domino effect into the center for a unified attack here. But I don't think you can see just how much Confederate infantry lines this wood line here. And I think that will come to bear on him later. Those 2 Crawford divisions moving up, and the initial infantry from the Army of the Cumberland, which are some of their most elite, are moving into position and trying to cross the river here. However, the Confederate Army of 1st Manassas is not able to return or start its volleys off just yet due to the fact that they're repositioning, seeing how much infantry is being forced onto the extreme flank here. And this is the extreme flank. This is the end of the map here. And so you can see kind of the battle line of how the volunteer and some of these company units will try and hold off a almost double stacked army onto them. So Cumberland taking this time while 1st Manassas is reorganizing to not take volleys on their approach and try and starve their attack unmolested. The Zouave units trying to refuse their flank now to the Archers Brigade that is appearing on the hill. Federal 5th Corps is moving in position with the 2 volunteer units from the Army of the Cumberland, supported by Crawford's division. And yep, the full Crawford's division has been deployed onto the field, onto the face of the Confederate 3rd Corps, whose reserves mainly lie in the back, unpositioned and not formed quite yet. Federal 5th Corps skirmishers have taken the brunt of the volley so far, and it looks like Federal 5th Corps is holding off quite yet at attacking right here, seen as he's starting to take some fire from... What is that? Confederate Early War Regiment got bloody pretty good there. I'm not sure where that got hit from. But, they are starting to rout there. So he's holding off quite a bit on that attack, just for the time being, until he can figure out what's going on over there in those woods. As for the Union Army of the Cumberland, is going to get off their first volleys here, just before the first masses can do it. Looks like the skirmishers will be taking the brunt of those volleys. And looks like it's 11th Mississippi returning the favor. And the ZOUAVES infantry that was over here has now crossed the field. And I think Cumberland's trying to move up fast these volunteers to refuse the flank against some of these archers brigade and volunteer from the 3rd Corps that's coming over the hill there. 1st Corps is moving up deathly close, trying to get a volley off. Volunteer will not be able to return just in time due to the fact that they are reforming. And 1st Corps is running them across the field. Amazing first volleys here, guys. All down the line. 1st Corps is running up into position, trying to take this wood line from the Confederate Masses army. However, due to the fact that he ran them up a little too prematurely, they are now tired by the time they got into formation firing. That means they are now firing with -4 accuracy instead of the regular accuracy, due to the fact that they're fatigued from sprinting across the field, which is never good. To only run your men in short bursts, and if you start to see them getting winded, you should try and turn them off running. Only do it in short bursts. Now they're tired, whatever their accuracy was is now -4 of that original accuracy. Since these guys are winded, they don't get occurring penalties like that just yet. And it looks like we now have a 5v4 situation here against the volunteers. However, 1st Corps and Stonewall Jackson is moving some of the Louisiana, 1st Maryland, and Wheat's divisions over to that flank to secure it. Initial attacks from the Army of the Cumberland very strong. However, the ZOUAVES regiment here is getting bloody pretty hard by that volunteer and volunteer units there on the hill. The volunteer from Cumberland arrived a little late, not quite able to help from the enfiladed fire there, and they'll be bloodied here initially. A 1st Corps general moving up to support the attack, and its reinforcements and depth is lining up and getting ready to support and weigh in on the initial formed attack. Robinson Division, 2 Robinson Division, double days, Iron Brigade, and the Iron Brigade, which is Union 1st Corps' elite star units. It looks like 2 Robinsons, 2 double days, and Iron Brigade are moving up into position to get ready to put some weight onto the attack there. Breaking at 93 men, this volunteer unit is breaking under the weight of 2 Archers Brigade and 2 Volunteer. Archers Brigade is a relatively elite 3rd Corps unit, however not star unit. But the fact that you had a kind of 3v1 possibly going on there, they are routing. However, with the the Union Army of the Cumberland general not too far away, they should come back here in relative time. Looks like 5th Corps is starting to shift down to take on more of the 3rd Corps, considering he's not getting opposed by the 1st Corps just yet that have not stepped off on their attack. So 5th Corps shifting down to in front of the Cumberland reinforcements to give weight to take this 2 here on this hill. It looks like some counter battery going off here trying to take out some of these guns. As you can see here, quite a bit of these guns have been abandoned here from the Federal 5th Corps' 10-pounder just due to the fact of enfiladed fire from the hills. However, the Cumberland Army's 10-pounder parrot over here has been unmolested, and the Union ordnance batteries from before are moving up unmolested again. They have not been hurt at all, fresh still, and are moving up to support the attack with close range fire. 2 units of volunteer in the back that we saw before has moved over to the extreme left of the Federal 1st Corps attack to help give weight to it. However, due to the fact that the volunteer have more range, they're being moved to the back where they can still fire. But since 1st Maryland and 1st Louisiana Battalion have less range, they're being moved to the front. And these guys are the elite 1st Manassas, however, not star units. First volley there, not good, doing about 15 damage, or 15 men on the first volley there. You gotta get this guy bleeding out. And they are starting to With the renewed attack from elite Confederate infantry, this volunteer unit will fall back under the pressure. All along the rest of the line, the Union attack seems to be holding pretty well. However, just due to how long it took for the Union First Corps attack to get off, the elites and the ZOUAVES from the Federal Army of the Cumberland went in unsupported and have just under the weight of repeated attacks have fallen under, have gotten bloody, excuse me. And it looks like the King's Regular will be falling back to save what else other men they can. Looks like a unit of 93 ZOUAVE units have routed also, just under the pressure. Federal 5th Corps from Crawford's division, supported by regular infantry, are double stacking and firing volleys into the heaths and volunteer up on this hill to try and dislodge this man. But right as that attack goes off, and they have committed a strong attack to the center, with a weakened left flank, 1st Corps will step off from the woods and start their attack. First men to be formed on the field is the Texas and Volunteer and Pickets. Texas and Virginia leads the way with the 1st Corps going into this open field attack. Again, you can see how a lot of the federal reserves are stationed behind their center to try and give weight to it. However, right here, it took so long for the federal double days to get into position that a lot of the units that were right here started suffering just due to it not being a weighed or supported attack, as you might say. The initial elements of the federal 1st Corps attack are falling back a little bit to the now arriving support and getting onto the front lines. Not wasting any time is the Iron Brigade to give off volleys to the 1st Maryland, taking out about 6 there. 7, 8. 1st Maryland Battalion taking some losses. 1st Louisiana looking pretty good. See blood splattering everywhere. Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. Army of the Cumberland with a renewed attack with their reinforcements coming down the main road. The Federal Army of the Cumberland is now renewing their attack with reinforcements onto the center to try and support the attack that just recently fell apart. Those volunteers that came up in support earlier are now starting to get bloody quite a bit just due to kind of a 4v1, again 5v1 almost situation here that the Federal 5th Corps was trying to support. So good initial attack, but without support, the initial Union attack, again that was good, is starting to fall apart. Again, nobody can blame them. The position they're trying to take is an extremely fortified, mountainous, wooded position. One of the hardest things you can attack in this game. Iron Brigade barely even bloodied, maybe taking, 5% casualties, but dealing quite a bit more. We see now that the 1st Maryland, in this time we've been gone, has lost probably a good 15 more men. The volunteers from the initial volunteer attack, you can see definitely bloodied those men. The renewed Cumberland attack didn't get quite as close or as upfront as it was before. You can see just the amount of damage they took trying to do that, and they have fallen back to a longer range, more skirmish position. And you see now 2 units, Greg's Brigade and a volunteer, arriving to support to try and stop any sort of immense maneuvers from the Federal Army of the Cumberland. The ZOUAVE unit and 2 Cumberlands from before that were in the initial attack have now been shifted to the right flank to help out, to support that attack. Regular infantry and Crawford's division are falling back in their attack, but still keeping it up. Confederate 1st Corps Army stepping off in unison. Took a while for them to get formed up. They definitely shadowed or telegraphed their attack very heavily there in the beginning, but since they took the time to do that and form their men, they're coming out very much in unison, attacking in unison with weight, unlike the Federal 1st Corps that attacked in piecemeal. See the first volleys go off down the line here. Oh, who's on the center there? Texas Brigade to the first volleys to fire, and the 5th Corps under this weight is falling back into a more fortifiable position, thus this wood line here. They will also use the woods to try and protect against this strong Confederate left flank attack on their right flank. With the renewed attack from Cumberland, the Army of the Cumberland is doing pretty well. Going to back off. They do not want to attack that position anymore. I mean, although they bloodied the 3rd Corps a little bit, they're going to try and refocus their attack onto the 1st Manassas Army. who with unison now is being attacked by the Federal First Corps Robinson's Division. Doubledays Division is on the field. The initial volunteer, but from before, have fallen back a little bit. Elements of the Iron Brigade are engaged and still holding on strong. Good. You can see now that the back here is that Richmond Elite 12-pounder howitzer that's going off and now is landing near this Iron Brigade. The 1st Louisiana and 1st Maryland Battalion are just a little out of range right now for the, again, because they have shorter range. The Union is trying to manipulate that and stay back a little bit and try and avoid getting volleyed too much from these elite infantry. However, the 1st Maryland is still within range, but taking casualties heavily. Last time we saw them, they were at 215. They have lost 50 more men. They are approaching 50% casualties very, very fast. All along the line here, we see that the 2nd, 4th, and 5th, along with the Louisiana Wheats Battalion, ripping up these men here on the front line, have arrived to renew the attack and relieve some of the pressure from the volunteer that were initially on the line. Wheats Battalion definitely leading the way, although taking 20 casualties before they can even fire off a volley, to them being focused down. These are elite buck and ball units, followed by elite star units from the Stonewall Brigade. With the renewed attack from the Stonewall Brigade, the Cumberland Army is starting to fall back. Over here on this side of the field, the 5th Corps is renewing their defense upon this wood line, and the 1st Corps is again taking the time to organize their men and have a unified attack. Takes longer, you will be able to telegraph your moves and try and manipulate the time they're given to form a better defense, but your attack overall will have more weight and be stronger if you do those sort of things. Stonewall Jackson arriving on the field to help try and bring back some of these routing volunteer units from before, as you can see, have been bloodied to all hell. 40, only 49 men left in that one unit there. Stonewall Brigade taking some initial losses pretty heavily. They're being focused down pretty hard. Cumberland shifting to try and stop this push from the 33rd Virginia. And Doubledays will be taking on the brunt of the Wheats and the Stonewall Brigade here. The Wheats, Louisiana, due to the fact that them having buck and ball, have the least amount of range as any unit in the game. And they will, the Union Corps knows this and is falling back to stay away from these said Wheats Battalion. First shots from the renewed Confederate 1st Corps attack is coming off from the Pickett's Division, the Texas Brigade, and the volunteer units. Off against, it looks like here's some volunteer units supported by a 5th New York Zouave, Jury's Zouaves. Wheats, Louisiana Battalion moving down into position. This is the 1st Confederate unit to come off this hill out of the woods into the open. As you can see just the depth, the absolute depth and ranks of the Union 1st Corps attacks, and the Wheats is not carrying. They're not trying to hide behind trees. They're getting out into this open to attack these Robinsons head on. I mean, pushing out way far here ahead of the army. They are not giving two shits. They are moving up. The Union 1st Corps desperately trying to shift some men around, get an Iron Brigade with 250 men fresh up onto their front to try and repulse this attack from the Wheats Battalion here. Looks like their initial attacks going off against this volunteer unit, taking quite a bit of damage here. But again, just look at the depth, the absolute depth on the 1st Corps attack. Absolutely cinematic and beautiful. Waiting for this Iron Brigade to get off their initial shots here with this fresh unit of Iron Brigade. They're idle, like set a fire at will or something, or trying to reform. Although this volunteer taking heavy losses from these brave Wheats moving out in front of the army. Looks like Cumberland's reinforcements, fresh Union veteran units from their star roster or their star elites are over in the field, kind of disorganized. I think they've forgotten about them. Actually, now the Confederate Confederate Army of the 1st Manassas, is moving down off the hill. You can see them on the very edge of the woodline now, trying to support this attack. And now those Robinson Division and Iron Brigade getting fresh volleys off on these Wheats Battalion, definitely getting hurt pretty good. 3rd Corps stepping off the hill in unison with 1st Corps on a unified attack onto the Confederate Army of the Union Army of the Cumberland Center, which is supported by some of the 1st Corps' skirmishers. A skirmish unit of 45 men, just get them in the light infantry formation, don't take too many losses. But 3rd Corps coming off the hill in unison to support the 33rd Virginia that was getting infiltrated fire by some of these Cumberland men. Attack is going pretty well. The Union 5th Corps 10-pound Parrott rifle that moved up for some canister has been shot to bits. It looks like by the 26th North Carolina Infantry there. It shot up that gun to bits. 3rd Corps moving up in unison again with this really well supported 1st Corps attack, and 5th Corps is getting driven back. However, they are starting to maneuver some of their more elite reserves in order to counter said attack. Again, Cumberland still has quite a bit of its more elite reserves here in the back, ready to go whenever necessary. However, the Stonewall Brigade taking heavy losses, but also gaining ground with it. Wheats Battalion definitely taking losses here. Looks like they're trying to be supported by another unit in the Stonewall Brigade, but are having trouble forming around this strange terrain. Definitely, those you can see the amount of chevrons these 8 3-inch ordnance batteries from 1st Corps from earlier are doing. And again, Wheats Battalion definitely getting ripped to bits. Starting with 300 men, they have lost already over 50% and are routing around 60% casualties. You can see the amount of Wheats that died here, but they also took a lot with them, so definitely some brave men right there. And then the Stonewall Brigade will replace them, coming up with their brethren. So the full Stonewall Brigade is applied in unison on the front here, taking on the depth of this Union 1st Corps attack, and shots ringing off all around. Confederate 6th North Carolina get into position support along with the 11th Mississippi. Federal 5th Corps has decided to stop retreating, has now found their comfortable line, and are now starting a renewed defense against the pushing 3rd and 1st Corps. Crawford's Division, regular infantry, and Crawford's Division again moving up into position to get ready to get some good volleys off on here. Selma Independent Blues are on the front line, ready to go. Very beautiful battle. Gonna watch here. Definitely, oh god. Good volley coming off from Crawford's Division here, taking out quite a bit of these Selma Independent Blues. And it looks like the Greg's Brigade here, which is one of their elite star units from 3rd Corps. Again, you can see good depth in attack, brings weight to your attacks and does good work. You can see he's leapfrogging men in and out to get good point-blank shots with these. That's what happens when you attack in depth. These are the perks you get. You can constantly keep changing in and out your men, not only for their fatigue, but for logistical purposes, morale, etc. Depth in attack is always good. Looks like the Zouave is going to be going head-to-head with this volunteer unit. Fighting has come to point blank. The volunteer's going to stop to see if they can get return of a unified volley, but it looks like the Zouaves will get it off first. Oh, the volunteer will get it off first. I don't think they're firing at them. Oh, shit. Oh, you just see the massive amount of men. Oh, and a unified charge back from the Federal 1st Corps. They cannot hold on to that weight. The 3rd Corps routing 2 units there. Greg's Brigade and a volunteer. A Greg's Brigade routing means they're losing a big morale buff here. And it looks like since the Confederate 3rd Corps does not have any reserves behind its lines, it has nothing to fill the spaces that is being left by that route there. Looks like Confederate 1st Corps is going to try and replace them, give them the reserve that they don't have. Again, fighting has come down to point-blank range with Pender's Division and her regular Union infantry going head-to-head. You can see the amount of men dropping in between these lines. Back here over on this side of the field, Confederate 3rd Corps, although doing very poorly on the other side of the field, is having some gains here in the center. And as for the Union 1st Corps, has fallen back and has become a skirmish battle, a standoff essentially here. As for the Stonewall Brigade, they got very, very, very bloody. They have taken probably around the board 50% casualties, however, dealing quite a bit of damage. I mean, it is full melee over here. 3rd Corps getting very bloody by 5th Corps, and 1st Corps trying to run up to support due to the fact that 3rd Corps has no reserves. and the Zouaves are still in battle. But again, because the First Corps took his time and had plenty of depth and reserve behind his lines, he's definitely doing pretty good. Who's routing there? It looks like that is one of these Stonewall Brigade is finally routed with only 53 men left. 33rd Virginia only 93 men left. Looks like here we have the Pender's division facing off against that regular infantry was charged and routed, and the Selma Independent Blues are desperately trying to hold on to whatever line they have left. The Crawford's division has pushed through the line, although routed due to the fact they pushed through the line. Supported by, again, reserves, the regular infantry is now going to be able to charge this volunteer in the back here with the Heaths, and those two regular infantry will work in unison to break that line there. Looks like the Pegrams batteries on the front lines here. See if they can get some canister off. Try and support. It looks like another regular infantry here in support. This volunteer infantry's really got to put in some work here because they could counter these. There we go. There they go. Now tired volunteer regiment charging the regular infantry in the back. However, I think First Corps had to rush over reserves very fast to support their corps that they're now tired, so that'll be a little bit of a melee and morale debuff. The Zouaves that we saw from earlier that charged that volunteer and broke and that started this whole mess have now broken at 128 men out of the 250 they have left, so suffering 50% casualties. Looks like Federal First Corps is getting into the action. However, their men are getting bloodied pretty bad. They're already very tired on this one unit. That's huge morale debuffs and not good whatsoever. Looks like that's the 33rd Virginia on the other side of the field now routing under a renewed Federal First Corps attack on the hinge between Greg's brigade and my line, and also supported by those 3-inch packages. You see the amount of chevrons they're getting. Unmolested 3 inches with good position is very deadly. Crawford's division moving in, supported by regular infantry. 2 First Corps volunteers moved in to support that instead of that just one that was already tired. Looks like the Texas Brigade just broke to a Union volunteer infantry unit. 2 Union volunteer infantry dogged this Texas Brigade and broke it, and they're going to get some massive kills off this. Trapped in between 2 lines, Texas Brigade takes bloody casualties there. What we got over here? Another unit. Looks like the entirety of the Stonewall Brigade has now at one point routed. The Stonewall is off the field. They've had enough. What happened here? Looks like, however, it looks like the Heaths and those 2 Heaths division were able to hold on against that regular infantry engulfment, probably due to the support of this Pegrams division. I think Pegrams held the day there and was able to hold on. See, yeah, they're firing canister. Pegrams held the day. It looks like they're trying to manipulate a situation here in the center, but it looks like the Federal 5th Corps is very bloodied at this point, just under the weight of the amount of men they had to fight. Federal 5th Corps general getting into the action, losing about half his general staff. He's staying close to the battle, and oh, that's it, I believe, right there. I think we just witnessed in action Federal 5th Corps general is going down. Yep, right there. That's him right there. The Federal 5th Corps general, when running up to the battle, was hit by a stray bullet and taken out. What are the odds? With the Federal 5th Corps generals, I mean, actually dying, when a general dies in the submod, the Union Army, or whatever army the general dies in, gets an extreme morale boost for about a minute or a 2-minute period after that general dying, due to the fact that they're rallying behind the fact that their general just died. And so I think Federal 5th Corps tried to manipulate that almost infinite morale boost to try and maybe finish off what they started in the center. But yeah, see everything drop right there. About a minute or so after that that general's boost, they went away, and you see now they're starting to waver with the fact that the lines of communications are falling apart. Looks like the Union general staff got meleeed by Pickett's division. No, they were just shot down. Out of the entire general staff, there only 1 man remains. First Corps still holding relatively strong. It's more of a standoff here on the center, on the far right than anything. The 3rd Corps' attack on the center is starting to show progress, and Cumberland cannot hold off against it anymore. First Corps tried to support with their Robinson's division, but again, even the Union Cumberland general is taking some bloody, losing their flag bearer. Looks like that will be the end of the 5th Corps attack. Very valiant counterattack by the 5th Corps. These volunteers want to die like their brothers. They do not want to retreat. They will charge, what is this here, a volunteer unit and the Texas Brigade, breaking out of the pressure. Again, a valiant attack from the 5th Corps, possibly, and I say possibly, could have resulted in a destruction of the Confederate 3rd and 1st Corps, had their general not died there from a stray bullet. Looks like it really capped him, like right in the forehead. Dude fell right off the back of his horse. But again, 1st Corps general attack now. One last ditch effort to try and manipulate a victory here. Volunteers, Maryland ZOUAVES still in the back with 100 men, and the 1st Louisiana still in the back, only suffering a few casualties actually, probably 30% casualties, not too much compared to everywhere else. Iron Brigade here on the flank with 125 men, trying to break this line, give one last go at it, but as you can see, the Federal 1st Corps now routes across this field they so gallantly marched across earlier. And with this, the Federal 1st Corps is moving up some of the batteries, it looks like, to try and just finish them off, make them rout so we can end the game. Supported by the Robinson's division there. Army of the Cumberland's general holds strong, and again, we got one unit looks like back here that came back. It was a 5th Corps volunteer unit. Still have some fight in them. You can see here the Wilder's Brigade from the Army of the Cumberland, where they dismounted their horses earlier. Looks like, I don't know if this was from artillery fire that their horses got killed, but damn, they dismounted their horses and a lot of them got killed. It was probably stray bullets flying over the infantry line, but that was not good. 11th Indiana Infantry has come back, tried the rally, but their back is turned to the
We have killed their general, sir.
turned to
Now
the
they must pray.
Confederate 3rd Corps Infantry, just due to the fact that that those batteries are holding on. Maybe they'll be able to turn around and get off a volley here. It looks like who was responsible for that? A 3rd Corps volunteer unit was shot down. These general staffs hiding behind these buildings here. All 6 of them dead there in that volley. Absolute massacre of the Union Army of the Cumberland General. And you can see here the remnants of what is left of the Union 1st Corps is retreating across this field with the Iron Brigade over here on the flank. And marching out to make sure the enemy stays routed is the Confederate 1st Manassas Army. As you can see, they are fucking a remnant of what they were before. I mean, absolutely bloodied to no end. I don't think there's a single unit in the 1st Manassas Army that doesn't have anything less than 50% casualties. You can see the amount of standards that have been lost across the field. Left Mississippi losing about 50%, almost 50% there. I mean, just endless amounts of casualties across the field for Confederate 1st Manassas Army. And as for the Confederate 3rd Corps, it looks like they held on a good portion of their men, except for that left flank that got charged here. And you see just the absolute carnage. Especially you see a lot of ZOUAVES here dead in this massive melee battle that occurred here. Very, very much respect to Vankowski leading the 1st Corps with his slow but unified attack leading into a destruction of the Federal 5th Corps. 3rd Corps definitely breaking through the center here, putting enough pressure off the Federal 1st Manassas so they did not break. However, with them not having proper reserves, they lost their entire left flank here, and it was forced to be replaced by the Confederate 1st Corps. Excuse me. It looks like they will be rallying here in the town. Very beautiful game, very awesome game. Looks like a Federal 3rd Corps, Confederate 3rd Corps General, excuse me, is running out here to run down some men. Very, very cool. Stonewall Jackson over there, holding behind the creek. Looks like we're now trying to shoot down what is left of this volunteer unit. One volunteer unit getting some volleys off on this volunteer unit. They get one volley off and then run. However, they are broken and exhausted, so just from the amount of battle they went through. 24-pound howitzer gun is the only thing that stands left of the army of the Union here. So it looks like the Blue Ridge Mountains are safe. The pass is protected by the combined 1st, 3rd, and 1st Manassas Confederate Army. And the Army of the Potomac will now retreat back into Washington and try and find another way of breaking down Virginia's economic power. Cumberland 10-pounders that were in the back are now moving up to finish themselves off. All in all, this is an absolutely beautiful game. I will give props off to the Union players. They fought a very hard battle against very bad odds. I mean, not bad odds necessarily, but this was not an easy battle. Just the position they had to attack was not good. Initially, I was trying to attack, so I was trying to come off. I wasn't trying to manipulate this too much, but with them double stacked on me, I was the one that was supposed to attack. And you see that Venkovsky, although slower to a good player, but slower to get in the battle, couldn't make up the ground, and so it ended up being a more defensive battle. And there ends it. All right, let's go over the men deployed and men lost, men killed, etc. So deploying 3,900 men on the dot. 1st Georgia Company B, 1st Sergeant Klink deployed 3,900, lost 1,200, and killed 3,000 men. So killed just about as much as he fielded, losing about 30%. Myself here, fielding 3,525 men, losing almost 2,000. So I'm over 50% there, it looks like. And however, killing 2,600, almost 2,700, one off. The 69th North Carolina Company A, 1st Lieutenant Venkovsky, fielded 3,720. He lost about a third of his force, a little less than a third of his force, maybe 28% casualties at 1,017 men lost, and killing more than he lost with 1,300 men killed, mostly that of the 5th Corps. The 1st Corps, Ethan K4, or Ethan K as we call him, fielded 3,600 men, lost 2,400, so well over 50% there. About 58, was that almost 60% there, killing 1,600. Again, most of that is of my army. So the 1,900 I kill, I bet you 1,600 that is completely from 1st Corps. Definitely bloodied me. Craven of the Federal 5th Corps with the valiant counterattack there almost destroyed 3rd Corps flank, and almost was able to manipulate a destruction of the Confederate 1st Corps if it wasn't for the unlucky death. Man, that was a weird stray shot, man. They were riding right in the position, and just the general, nobody else in that thing, and that volley died from that stray shot. That's wild. Can't believe I actually caught that on video. But 3,910 men fielded, 2,200 men lost, and 1,605 men killed. Again, so when you're melee, not as many people die, but it definitely does manipulate the morale system faster and more effectively than just simply volley firing. And then Rose Hunter, manning the Federal Army of the Cumberland, fielded 3,810 men, lost 2,487. Looks like he lost the most out of any other army, and killed the least out of any other army with 777 enemies killed. Of course, he was the first into the battle, and without the support from the Doubledays and the volunteer from the 1st Corps coming a little late, he attacked in pretty much piecemeal. And with 1st Corps lagging behind just a little bit to get their army organized, I think that initial attack really bloodied him too bad. Looking at my personal stats, for the most kills across my army, I have the 6th North Carolina, woohoo North Carolina, for almost 300 kills. A volunteer unit with 281 kills. Then it looks like all my long range unit, got the most kills because they were firing for the longest time. One of the Stonewall Brigade units got 171 kills. The Wheats Battalion, with their valiant push out into the center, the wide open, the first one out into the open, didn't even give two shits about the woods, was able to occur 140 kills, but losing 179. Again, about 60% there. In terms of losses, who lost the most out of my army? It looks like it was one of the volunteer units lost exactly the same amount of men, lost 201 men. Coupled right behind that with my shorter range units, this game point blank volleyed, with the Stonewall and Wheats division taking some of the biggest losses on the field. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this 3v3 battle replay on McDowell on the submod version 1.5 for the ACW mod. If you want to get this submod and play these awesome battles, you need to come over to the official multiplayer Discord, and that's where you can find the download link for the submod, and where you can organize games like this and have awesome, amazing cinematic battles, Civil War battles. So again, guys, I hope you all have a great day. Remember to like, comment, subscribe for more of this sort of stuff. Let me know if you like it like this, where I commentate the battle, or you rather have me recording as I'm playing with everybody else in their commentary, or maybe a little bit of both. Make sure to give me feedback so I know. And again, I'll see you on the battlefield. Have a great day.